So at the beginning of 2023, some additional tech and skips were discovered. And in this video, I'm going to run through all the new tech that was discovered in this video and then show how it's used for the run. I'm going to make separate videos for each of the levels where that's applicable. That way, if you're learning the run, you can start with a newer video, then use the old tutorial for the rest. I am also going to assume that you have watched that tutorial or are keeping up with that, so I'm not going to go over the old tech that was used, basically. So, just to get started, and I'm going to demonstrate it here, the first tech is we call it menu input buffering. Credits to Talux in the Cthulhu Discord for finding this. Basically, we already use menu glitch, which is we run around with the pause menu up or the save menu up. And when we have the save menu up, we can use it to save wherever we want. But Talux discovered you can get a boost by moving forward and jumping, using those inputs before either closing the menu or opening your inventory. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So right now I'm at the pause menu. We have the menu glitch activated, but not making use of it. And what I did was I moved forward a little bit and then I jumped. And when you're using it in this context, you want to just let go of the keys afterwards. And when I close the menu, I get a big boost like that. So thankfully this is not actually faster than just walking through the level, but it does allow us to do certain skips. And I'll just, to do that again, I'll just show you can also do it by opening the inventory, like so. You still get the boost. So I'll show the very first time you kind of make use of this, where when we're out of bounds here, instead of saving to move towards the end of the level, what we're instead going to do is just use the boost. So I'll just show that off here, hopefully get it right the first time. Yep. So now you see we're facing the direction where we would fall back inbounds, and instead of saving, I'm gonna buffer the move forward input. You don't need to jump when you're out of bounds, and it's gonna shoot me straight towards the end level trigger. So like so, and you fall back inbounds like that. Again, I'm going to cover this more in each individual level when it's used for a skip. And the second tech is something called, well, it's not really a tech exactly, it's just playing the game with uncapped frame rate. Neil Part in the Cthulhu Discord discovered this, although we weren't exactly sure why it was suddenly possible when we were having issues earlier. Yeah, it's not exactly like tech, but it is pretty important, or rather it lets us do a lot of new things. I think what we figured out, or what we're assuming, is the retail version of this game, not the Steam or the GOG version, but the actual, like, when you buy the disc and you install that version of the game, doesn't have any sort of frame rate cap on it, which is bad for a casual playthrough, but for us it's actually really useful because we can set our frame rate cap with a third-party application like Rivatuner, and then play at 60 and then take the FPS cap off for certain tricks. So you can see right here I'm kind of a little bit more floaty right now, and I'm going to demonstrate it. Actually, I'm just going to make a regular save here and demonstrate how the frame rate can be used. So normally, well, something we've been aware of is if you can like run up this with uncapped frame rate, you can slide all the way out of bound, and that's really, useful. Not in that particular instance, but I'll show how it's useful. So things like that is how the uncapped frame rate is really helpful. The third tech is what I guess I'm just calling the ladder glitch, and this is the level where I'll demonstrate it. It's where the first skip makes use of it. So what you want to do is you want to buffer your inputs. You want to make a save at a ladder or near a ladder, doesn't really matter. You want to make a save out of bounds, and also where you want to end up. So the first save is going to be where I want to load back in, which is like right about here, and then I want to make a save once we're properly out of bounds. Now, to do this glitch, you load that first save where you're on a ladder. You don't have to get up it. You just have to be touching the ladder. That kind of activates the property or the state where you'll be, like, things will be a little glitched out. And then you'll notice when I load the save out of bounds, I'm considered like on a ladder right now. If I look up, I can go up and down it. So that's useful in its own right. But what I found is if you load a third save while still with this ladder property, you will be able to move about on the x-axis without falling back inbounds at all. So, for example, typically if you load a save out of bounds, once you walk over here, for example, you'd fall back in, but because we have this ladder property, it's not happening. You can get rid of the property by going over to a ladder. I don't know if I have to hide. Okay, there. So now I got rid of that property, and I can, if I go back to this save, I'm just gonna fall like so. But so just to do that again. But as you can see, you know, I can basically walk to the end of the level now, so that's really helpful. And that leads me to the final. Actually, no. Let me explain the rest of the tech while I'm just here. Another thing that Uncapped FPS can be used for is, like before when we were able to boost out of bounds, it doesn't really work in this property. Oh, I guess it kind of does. No, let me rephrase that. It works in this property, but if you go back inbounds, it will stop your movement basically. So if I boost, let me just show you actually. If I try to boost this way, I don't have my frame rate capped, and I let go, I'm just, you know, now I'm back inbounds and it doesn't work. What you can do then is, while you are out of bounds and you're getting the menu boost started, you can turn off your frame rate and then turn it off again. This will basically give an extra powerful boost, and it lets us like glide through the inbounds section like so, and then that just gets us closer to the end. So and a thing to note is when you do that, you're not going to be able to boost again at all. This has something to do with going back inbounds, but like I said, I'll go over more detail in the specific video for this level. And then the last thing to discuss is just the fact that you can, again, last tech really, is playing this game without audio. So when you play the game without audio, you do not get any well, you get dialogue, but it skips to the end right away. So it's very, you know, fast. It says about like 10 minutes or so, maybe 15. But then again, you're, you know, playing the game without audio, so it's not super fun in that regard. So we made the decision to move the runs with no audio to a separate leaderboard. I mean, it's still on the Speedrun.com Dark Corners of the Earth leaderboard, but it's different from the regular any %. So if you want to see an example of that, you can just go to that leaderboard and watch one of the videos. So I think that about covers all the new things. Again, well, there are some like minor caveats here and there, but I'm going to be making an individual video for each level where this comes up, and again, you can kind of use that as a more up-to-date reference when trying to learn the run or learn this new tech. So I hope this was helpful, and if you have any comments or questions, you can either leave it in on the video, or you can message me on the Call of Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu Speedrun Discord. And yeah, thank you for watching.